Gunshots. LAPD officers say a 35-year-old woman was killed. Another woman and man were wounded and remain hospitalized in stable condition. They say 2 other partygoers suffered less serious injuries. Detectives are now looking into social media reports of gambling and trying to determine the exact motive. Hours earlier, officers responded to numerous noise complaints, and some neighbors questioned why the party, which defied public health orders during this pandemic, wasn't broken up.
It's really hard to enforce something like that, but especially when it's a private party and it's like us going into your home telling you what to do. How can I do that, right? But when you're the public, obviously I have to tell you and try to enforce whatever I can.
Lieutenant Chris Ramirez says officers did clear public streets and impound cars, and the group quieted down. He says there were no additional calls to police until the shootings. Now he says officials could choose to press charges both against any shooting suspects and the people who threw the party. A security manager at the house told us the party was a belated NFL draft celebration. Police are working to confirm who rented the house and why.
They can probably capture and count how many people were there, and if the city attorney wants to, we can always file additional complaints. Maybe even that person might be responsible now for having this large party and, and having something that's in violation of the health code.
Lux Management, which oversees this property, says as soon as they realized this party was taking place, they asked the renters to leave, saying that their agreement had been violated. We did reach out to both the mayor's office and the city's attorney's office for their responses. Leslie, we're waiting to hear back.
Cara, senseless crime. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen on the line, Milk74. What up, man?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. And everybody out there, you can check out his channel, Milk74 TV, on YouTube. I really highly encourage you guys to check it out. Yeah, I want to jump right into it, man. Go way back to the beginning. What's the story about how you ended up getting adopted?
Well, I got adopted because my mother, the birth mother, I guess she was on drugs at the time, and she already had a couple of kids. So I guess when they got down to me, when she had me at the hospital, they just took her. They just took me from her, and I got adopted at 7 days old. And I didn't go to like a foster home. I was adopted and shit like that. And I never seen her until I was like 26.
And what was that like when you first met her?
It was kind of crazy. I actually met my biological sisters through Facebook, like on Facebook Messenger and shit like that. And when I seen the mother, it wasn't really like I was happy to see her. I wasn't mad, but it was just so like, oh, that's not my mother. My mother, she already dead. That's how I thought about it. But it was crazy because my biological sisters, they're mixed with black. Like their daddies is black, so.
I want to talk about your neighborhood to the best of your knowledge. Give me an idea of the beginning of the Hoovers.
The beginning of the Hoovers, from what I was told, it was like just a little group at first. Then it branched off into something else. Then it was Hoover Groovers around 69. It wasn't a crip. It wasn't none of that yet. Eventually it turned crip, and that was shortly lived. 90-something, I think around 96, it turned criminal. We one of the most hated areas in LA. That's pretty much what it is. We beef with everybody in LA pretty much. Like, don't really get along with nobody. So,
Talk to me about why I guess the Hoovers ended up being criminal, and then I guess 5 Deuce is the only one that went or stayed with the crip card, right?
Well, because them, they got allies that are crip. Some of their closest friends is crips. Some of their cousins is from 5-1 Troubles. Shout out to TF man. But the 7 Flows and the rest of the Hoovers, we beef with every crip gang, period. So it's like, why be a crip if you crip killing? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they just didn't want to. Why would they turn and they already got an alliance with some crips, you know, and it's no problem with that. You know, they know what it is at the end of the day. It's Hoover before any of all any and all of that crip stuff. It was Hoover.
And how old were you when you first got put on the Hoover?
I was young. It was like 16. That's when I was like officially got jumped in. But before that, I was already from it. I was already claiming it. I grew up on 79th. Like my mother that adopted me, her mother owned the house on 79th between Fig and Hoover since like 1965. So that was even before the first generation. So once that came around, we was already over there. So, you know, like once my mother died, that's when it was like, you know, that's when I was just full-fledged.